All right, Low Expectations, episode 11. Gary,
Anthony, how are you, buddy?
good. How are you doing?
Good.
We're hitting it early again. You gotta get the sleep crusties out of your eyes.
Bro, I just washed my
I can see them
face.
from here.
I just washed my face.
Doubtful.
Just because you've been up for like 3 hours already.
I couldn't. I'm all jacked up. I'm going from night work to day work, and I was up early.
That's good, man. It's good to get up early sometimes. I like to get up early, but this morning I didn't want to get up early.
Yeah.
So I slept a little bit.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You gotta sleep.
You gotta sleep.
Let me ask you this. If you had to hike, would you hike like in the mountains with like trees and stuff, or would you be like a canyon guy? Like out west? Like what would you want to do?
So my idea of an excellent hike is getting me to a vista.
All right. Explain.
Like I will do a hard hike. I don't enjoy hiking per se. Just the act of hiking, I wouldn't say I love it or enjoy it. But I enjoy hiking to a vista where I can see out over a canyon, see out over a mountain, something like that. So I hike for the view.
For like an end point.
Yes. I enjoy hiking for the view.
What if the view is throughout the entire hike?
That would be cool. That'd be
Okay.
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're like walking in the woods and you're just walking and walking and walking, and then the hike ends and you didn't get to see anything cool, you're done.
Right.
Like, you're not down with that.
So me and the boy the other day, we take a hike, a short hike, and it was fine. We enjoyed ourselves. We had good conversation. We were in the woods. It was nice, but we didn't arrive anywhere where you were like, wow,
Okay.
that's what made the hike.
So you picked the wrong spot is what you're saying.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
just a spot close by that we wanted to check out.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I'm like, hey, you want to check this spot out with me? I wasn't expecting for there to be anything
Yeah.
spectacular about it. It was more just like a dad-son hangout thing. But
Sure. So you're probably not going to go there again.
no, probably not.
You're going to find a vista
a vista.
that you can go visit.
Yeah.
Are
My
you
kid-
using that word correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people. My kids didn't know what it is. I taught them that.
So you're saying I'm like the intelligence of your child?
Right.
That's
You
fun.
never heard Vista before?
I mean, I've heard of Vista. I thought Vista was like a destination that you go to for
No,
like
that's a-
relaxation.
What?
Yeah, like, dude, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
You mean like a vacation?
No, not a
Another V word that doesn't sound anything like
no,
Vista?
no, like an oasis. Like a vista
Oh.
is similar to an oasis. That's what I was thinking.
Well,
It's like a synonym. But
no,
like,
they are not synonyms.
okay,
They are not. So, I mean, if you want to fact check me, do you want me to fact check?
No, dude,
myself
I just-
right now.
I like to learn new things, and I feel like I'm learning something, but you're crushing me because I'm trying to learn something. That to me is
Vista,
annoying.
a pleasing view, especially one seen through a long, narrow opening. I didn't realize that last part, but
That's it.
pleasing view, and then the rest of it,
Why from a narrow opening?
I have no idea. But
That
anyways,
seems creepy,
so
dude.
I
Like you're
am-
a pervert looking through a keyhole. You know what I
I
mean? Like
guess-
creeping on
I guess
somebody.
You could
Like
have
that's
a
what.
pervert Vista.
That's super weird.
It is weird.
Why do they add the
when
end?
you put it like that, yes. It's
Why do they
weird.
put the end part on there?
I don't know. Maybe they're talking about, you get up to a vista and you have those like things you can put a quarter in and put your eyes up to.
Because the word was
binoculars.
developed when we had those things. The word wasn't like
I don't
developed
know.
before that.
I'm just trying to help you out. I have no idea.
Dude, Vistas, man, they got me.
So
Vistas got me in the morning.
yeah. But I used to backpack,
Yeah, I know you did. Yeah.
and I didn't really. I mean, that was hard work. I mean, you had 50 pounds on your back. You're hiking. So I would hike for
Dude,
the
I was in the
vistas
army.
and
I
the camping.
did lots of.
Well, here we
Mine
go.
was not hiking though. Mine was just walking for no reason.
For no reason, just
yeah.
for discipline.
Yeah, just
for
to do it.
Do they still do that in the military?
I've
see
been
this
out for
stuff-
30 years, dude.
I know, but what I'm saying is, I see these commercials and stuff for the military. I'm like,
Like dudes putting lipstick on.
I feel like we're a lot weaker than we used to be. I mean, do you have that sense, or do you think, like, within the Army, within the Marines, within I don't want to. I don't know how tough the Navy is, but within the Navy, but within those, I should be careful. I have a relative who's in the Navy. I think the
super
Navy
important
reserves,
armed
anyways,
forces.
They're all important for sure. They all have a job,
and we love them all.
We love them all.
Yeah.
But would you say that within the core of those, they're still just as tough as they were?
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's
because I heard recently that you can give a card. I heard recently. I think it was in the Marines, which the Marines always seem like the toughest branch. The Marines, But I heard that they now have a card that if a cadet or whatever they call themselves, a young Marine, feels like he is being punished too harshly or he needs a mental health break, he can flash a card and have a timeout.
Yeah. So that was a rumor even when I was in. I mean, that was 97. That was a rumor that those things were coming, and I heard that they did come around, but like, who knows, dude? That's so dumb.
I see. This is what I hope in my mind. I would hope that they tell the new Marines coming in that that's a thing, and then when they try it,
they crush them. I'm just gonna let you suffer.
So why do you do that? Why do you let me suffer?
Like the drill sergeant.
Drill sergeant. Thank you.
I got you, buddy.
Just takes it from them, tears it up, eats it, spits it in their face,
yeah, exactly.
And just says, "No, that's not how we operate here." But
that's super funny.
Know, kindler, gentler.
Yeah.
Who
knows?
Speaking of veteran, so we just I don't even like to use the word celebrate Memorial Day. To me, Memorial Day is like a somber day. Everyone, your family, my family, we always go to a parade and then we spend the whole day together.
Yeah.
Eating great food, drinking good drink, playing games, like we just have a good time. But I don't know, it's still like a somber day. It's hard for me to say celebrate Memorial Day or happy Memorial Day. I feel like that is not the correct terminology for that day.
I think it's absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if you gave your life for your country, you would want people to celebrate, right? You wouldn't want them to be like moping around all day for you.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I would imagine that's how.
But it wouldn't be a happy, it wouldn't be a celebratory or happy day for like a Gold Star family.
I don't know.
I guess it would be a day of remembering. They would probably still be maybe celebrating and remembering their loved one that paid the ultimate sacrifice. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
There is a moment I'm glad that we do what we do for this parade, the super high end parade that we go to, which is awesome.
I love the parade.
As soon as when the flag kind of comes by, and usually it's by like vets that are like holding the flag, and they walk by, and we talk to our kids about, hey, stand up, put your hand over your heart, like all those things, all those patriotic things that we like to instill in our kids. There's a moment where like I get choked up every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like just thinking about, my service I didn't die. I didn't even do anything. I was in the Clinton era. You know what I mean? Nothing happened. But I know lots of people lost lots of people, what I mean? Over the years.
For sure.
For fighting for wars that we probably shouldn't have been in, fighting for reasons they didn't even know why they were fighting or care to be involved in that. And they still did what they were told for the betterment of the people that they lived with.
Right.
So I always get choked up, when I see that, just in the very beginning, and when I hear like patriotic music sometimes, like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it's an interesting thing about our armed forces that, basically people in high levels of government send the armed forces into wherever to do whatever. And for the people who are doing it, it just becomes a thing that they do for the person beside them.
Yep.
The world leaders are doing it for these big giant reasons that
they're probably not good.
Yeah. Or are good. They could be good.
Maybe.
They could be a justified reason. But the boots on the ground, it becomes a very narrow focus, and that's to do it for the person beside you.
Yeah.
I always thought that was an interesting aspect of that whole thing. But regardless, we celebrated Memorial Day together. We had the first inaugural. The first. Does inaugural mean first?
I don't know, dude.
Dude, you still got.
But you inaugurate a president.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah, you're using it right. You're using it correctly, dude.
If I'm not, I'm sure someone will let us know.
Yeah. I usually like to let you know, but I think you're right.
Right. So we had our very first, I'll say first, Lowe Expectations Invitational Cornhole Tournament.
Yeah.
We pitted the Lowe family against the Weaver family.
It was a good time.
It was a good time. And your daughter took it upon herself to record all these quotes throughout the day.
So my daughters do these things. So like they have like running quotes of funny things that happen like in their lives with their friend groups, with like people that they're around.
It's actually a good idea.
It's super funny. And when they read this stuff, like they literally like crack up. Like if we're driving or whatever and they like want to reminisce about some incident, they'll literally go through these, like they have whatever friend it is, and they'll just go through quotes that this person said, and they'll just read it, and they're losing their minds laughing, which is super funny.
So yeah, it is funny. So your daughter sent you and me a text then and said we can't open it till today.
Yeah.
Did you do that? Did you wait till today to open it? No.
Dude, I'm not.
I was like, you're
not telling me. You don't tell me what to do.
Open this right now.
She shouldn't have sent it until today.
Right, exactly. So I'm reading down over some of these are like inside joke stuff, like that no one would understand.
So everybody knows cornhole, right? Like you start at 0 like every game, and Lauren goes, your wife goes, it's low expectations. Of course, I'm starting at 10.
Oh yeah,
meaning that she's not starting at 0. She's starting at 10, which was super funny. I laughed about that one.
Yeah, she started out at 10. So and half the people that were in the Lowe Expectations Invitational didn't even want to be in it.
Yeah, Anthony.
I forced.
Anthony said you will play this and you will have fun. And Anthony, you took this really serious. Like you texted about like everybody will enjoy, everybody will have fun. I have this. You had like. It was like laid out like a tournament. Like everybody had to play everybody in the family.
It was a group stage. That was group stage.
Yeah, it was like a football tournament. It was wild.
Dude, it was fun. I think well, don't be too hard on me. You and your son and me and my son, we were pretty invested.
Oh, I was having fun. Yeah, it was.
We were pretty invested in this. So what else? I don't know. What's this quote? Is that Shania O'Twain? You said
no, Shania Twain.
Shania Twain.
Because there was some song going on. I said, "Is this Shania Twain?"
It's just a country song. You just right. Is that? And then
my wife threw a
beanbag
at me. That was pretty funny. This is one of my go-to things. Try more hard.
Try more hard.
Try more hard. Let's go. Try more hard. Which is super dumb statement.
I like this one. My son laughing evilly at your son. And then with an accent, I don't know what accent he used. He just said, "You just wasted your precious little thingamabob."
Right.
I have no idea.
Because he didn't throw it at the board. He just threw it.
Oh, he just threw it. Okay. All right.
What else here?
Oh, you heard the long, awkward pause. What's the movie with Tom Cruise? The Jets.
Top Gun.
Top Gun. You heard the Top Gun anthem on the station we were listening to?
Yeah.
And you said, that just means we should take our shirts off, Anthony, and play volleyball in our jeans.
Yeah. That's funny. Dude, that would have been awesome. The ladies weren't into that.
Oh, this one was funny. Me dripping with sarcasm. I said, I'm so glad Low Expectations Invitational is going so well. Because I was getting super annoyed. No one was taking it seriously. This was a serious thing.
Yeah, you were getting annoyed. And then it started to rain. She got real mad. Your wife goes, I think it's starting to rain. You're like, no, we're going through it. And then all of a sudden it just downpours. We had to like put everything under the tarp for a little while, but we got back at it.
Then we had the plague of flies, and your wife is screaming at flies, saying stuff like, I'm coming for you, and aggressively killing flies. We had dead flies laying all over the house. We probably had 100 flies in our house when you guys left.
Yeah.
No lie. Maybe not 100, maybe
There's
50,
a lot.
Maybe 75. But you were just going around killing flies. And my daughter was so annoyed with you because you weren't picking them up.
Yeah, I would just smack him and walk away.
After you left, she was like, Gary just like would kill all these flies, and he was just letting them lay on tables on the floor everywhere.
Yeah, dude, I wanted the other flies to see their dead comrades so they could just fly away, like go away. You know,
I don't know. My son said something because he's a jerk face, and then my wife said he is a jerk face. I don't know who he was talking about.
Probably you.
Probably. So, anyways, we had a good time.
Yeah, that was the first annual, right?
The first annual
Who are the winners?
Lowe Expectation Invitational. Unfortunately, you and your son were the winners.
Dominated. We dominated today.
Yeah, you did. I think I need to set it up. I'm already like contemplating how to set it up.
You have to level out your. We have to get out the backhoe. Is it the backhoe? No, the skid loader.
Okay.
And we got to even out your yard a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, it's a
before
little
next
slanted.
year.
Got to throw about $10,000 into regrading,
just so we can have
so
a good cornhole tournament.
Yeah, and we probably should measure it off instead of stepping it off. And these kids that want to stand closer because they can't make it, put an end to that.
Well, they're getting older, so yeah. But if we didn't do that, we would have definitely dominated. Because my family's a little bit older than your family.
Yeah,
kid wise.
I don't know.
Anyway, what? Dude, nobody cares.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do.
Man.
But anyways, we had a good time. So I just feel like I've been very busy, but basically we're doing a mashup of a bunch of stuff I've been seeing on X that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we've been busy. Like it's been difficult to record recently, but like I think it's going to slow down. We always go in spurts.
We go in spurts.
Dude, did you hear about the most recent like great prosecution that just occurred? Like it must have been the most flawless trial I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't follow this trial at all. But this person was found guilty of every single thing they were charged with. Yeah. It was unreal to me, dude. That's
34 counts and guilty of all counts.
Everything.
It was 34 counts, right?
I think so.
What
flawless prosecution.
Can you explain to me what he was? I don't even understand what he was charged with. I've read articles about it. I'm like, I don't understand. They're saying it was bribe money. Like, is that basically what they're saying?
Yes.
We're talking about Trump, obviously.
Is that who?
In case no one has picked that up.
Yeah.
I just don't fully understand the case.
Right.
I guess I've seen so many legal experts, even legal experts who are, outright, liberal, left-leaning Democrat, who are saying this is kind of a farce of a trial. So you have people even on that side saying, hey, this is wacky.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
And I also think back to Clinton. Didn't Clinton pay off Paula Jones? Remember that whole scandal with Clinton and Paula Jones and
I don't remember.
And that whole mess.
Who's that, Lewinsky?
Yeah, Lewinsky was Paula Jones, and then Lewinsky came out. Like all these women started coming out, but I'm pretty positive he paid off Paula Jones.
So I think the issue was that they're saying he used campaign funds to do it.
Okay,
but which is funny because most of his campaign funds were his. Like they were his monies anyway. I don't know.
How do you different? Like how do you?
Dude, prove? I don't know, man. I didn't follow the thing. I just thought it was hilarious that he was found guilty of every single count, which does happen. But like in weird cases, like something like similar like this, you would think like, hey, let's not make it so obvious. Let's maybe find him guilty of half of them.
Right.
Because it's not going to matter anyway.
Right.
It comes sentencing, 34 counts versus 2 counts. There's really not going to be a big difference.
I mean, it does reek of political, what are they calling it? Lawfare. It does reek of that because like you said, it's very rare that you take any case before a jury and get a guilty on all the counts you've brought.
Especially when this is not like this is like it's business records.
Right.
It's all business record stuff. So you're going to have this thing and that thing, all of his, like he didn't raise a ton, like he raised a lot of money, but like a lot of the money for his campaign, from what I understand, was his own.
Right.
Like it's my money. Why can't I spend it how I want?
Right.
So it's like this weird, like, it's almost like a tax law type thing. You made a mistake where you shouldn't have done it that way. You should have done it this way. And it's like a business, like messed up. Here's a fine. Yeah. Like that's kind of, but who knows, dude?
And Alvin Bragg, the DA in there, he is a Soros funded DA.
And didn't he run on the fact that he was going to prosecute former President Trump?
Yeah, possibly. I don't.
Or the AG or whoever
I don't
charged
know.
him, whatever.
I mean, he's extremely far left. What's mind-boggling to me is this DA is releasing people on a revolving door in New York City, like violent offenders, like just in the jail door and back out the back door. It's like a revolving door in this prosecutor's office, but not for this.
Right.
And
Like everyone wants him in jail.
right. It's just wild to me. It
Right.
does feel like the table of justice is way off kilter, and that the justice system by these far left liberal DAs and judges is being used to go after like political opponents. It has that appearance.
Right. Yeah.
I
And
guess
maybe it's not, but it just has that appearance.
Right. And I guess it's difficult. It's difficult for a small time guy like me who doesn't have. I literally have read articles about this, and I still don't understand.
Well, you've done more than me.
What he's being charged. I don't get it. I don't understand the charges.
It
I
is
haven't
interesting
read that
that-
many articles, but
It does seem like even both sides are saying this is a win-win for the former president. Like it's a win-win. Like
Yeah.
if he lost, it's going to be a win for him. If
I just sniffed right into
yeah,
the mic.
we literally talked about not like, hey, let's try to do a better job of not sniffing in the mics, and Anthony just goes right into the mic and looks at me, makes eye contact, just like, what are we doing here? True professionals, dude.
But yeah, you're right. They are saying that.
I like somebody said that his donorship like blew up right after the verdict
Right.
for like 10 hours
Right.
where there was like where there was a time where like you couldn't even donate because the site kept crashing,
Right.
and it was small time donors, like people giving very little money.
Right.
I didn't give any.
And I didn't either. But I just completely lost my thought. Whatever. Let's go to these X stories.
Yeah. We're
totally-
not like political guys. I mean,
Well,
we,
yeah,
we
we-
talk political stuff.
we do
I just think it's funny. Like the reason I brought it up for Low Expectations is this is a kind of a weird trial type thing for crimes that we may or may not know what they are, but like to be found guilty of all of them when it's probably records based crimes.
Right.
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 And then you have like, I mean, it's just
34
crazy.
counts guilty, all
Of
counts.
all of them.
and
And it was
facing,
a quick verdict. Like
Right.
it wasn't like long.
wasn't it a couple days?
Yeah, but it was a 2-month trial, right?
Right.
Or a month-long trial.
Yeah. I don't get it. He's facing jail time.
Yeah.
I mean, they would love to put him in jail.
Dude, he would look good. Do you think he'll wear stripes or an orange jumpsuit? Is it going to be an orange jumpsuit?
Orange to match his skin tone.
That's wild, man. It is crazy. Like if it is like a farce trial, if it is, I'm not
Right.
saying it is. I'm just saying if it is, for him to go to jail that makes me mad,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
like it doesn't affect me. Like the guy's a guy, but like that's terrible
Well, it does.
to like force someone in jail for some farce thing.
Right. In order to prevent him from trying to get the presidency. That's what this is all about.
Yeah,
I
I mean
mean-
they don't like him anyway,
Right.
but-
They don't. That's what it looks like. To me, as a simple dude, it looks like, people on the left going after a political opponent. That's what it appears to be.
Yeah, which is third world stuff. That's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, that's not America. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think here as we lead up to the election, it's going to get I personally think it's going to get crazier and crazier. And the other day when we were talking about the protests, the Palestinian
Yes.
Israeli protests on campuses, and you were asking, is this the thing? I think it is, because what's interesting to me on that is that Antifa is jumping on that. So, and Antifa, they just want chaos.
Anarchy, yeah.
They want anarchy, chaos. So they're jumping on that. And so I think you're going to see more and more of that coming into the cities.
becoming more violent,
becoming more violent as we get in further into the election
Yeah, you
season
can't
here.
go crazy right away
Right, because you're going to burn out.
because it's only June-ish.
Right. So you have to work it through. You have to work it out. You have to plan. You have to get your Antifa cronies together and figure out when you want to start burning things down.
Yeah, find your comrades.
So we're doing a hodgepodge of stuff we saw on X, articles, stories. A lot of these are actually coming out of Chicago. Surprise, surprise. If you are out of Illinois or you live in Chicago, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what is happening in your state and your city. The first one that I want, and this one I didn't even share with you, Chicago or Illinois is changing. They want to change, or they are changing the wording of offender to justice impacted individual.
Whoa. A JII.
A JII.
JIIs. All over the place.
Offender to justice impacted individual. What do
Hold
you
on.
think of that?
Justice impacted individual.
Right.
Terrible. I don't like it at all. It's too many words, man. Nobody's going to remember that.
Right. And what happens if you, I think it's even, we took it from criminal to offender.
Right.
Like if you look back, I mean, the word offender was,
right.
We took it from criminal to offender. Now we're taking it to justice impacted individual. And one thing that I didn't even think about that a legislator brought up, a Republican legislator brought up, was the amount of money it's going to take to change all this terminology in all the law, in all the government material, in everything that they have to go back through
the forms
and change. And I mean, if you think about that, and of course, it's not going to be cheap because it's government directed. It's going to be thousands and thousands of dollars to even make this change. And for what? To
make them feel better, or to not feel.
I guess I don't think that a criminal or an offender
or a justice impacted individual
cares at all about what they're called. I mean, if you sat a hardened criminal down in front of us and we're like, "Dear Mr. Felon, do you care if we call you criminal, offender, or justice impacted individual?" I have to keep looking at it on my screen here.
It's hard to remember it.
They won't care.
Here's my thing, Anthony. I don't care what you think. Like, it's America. They don't have to be called anything. Like, this is dumb. You know what I mean? Like why are we we categorize and then we change the categories' names? They're still categorized as a certain group of people.
Right.
Like, that's what we do because, well, I don't know why we have to do that, but I didn't really think this through as I started talking, the story of my life. But we categorize people, right? Like you have citizens, you have justice impacted individuals. You know what I mean? You have criminals, you have, all the things. You have ball players. So what are we going to stop calling them ball players because that's weird? And you want to call it like, I don't know, those with sticks running around base? Like, what are we? It just doesn't make sense to me, dude.
Why don't they change the name police officers or law enforcement? Maybe they should change.
What would we change it to?
Anti-justice impacted individual.
No, because that's not what police are. They would be. Oh man, this is a good one, dude. We got to think about this. I'm not going to be able to come up with anything, but that would be good.
I just don't. This law is made for people who aren't criminals to feel better about themselves. It's like, the last episode, that terminology I heard by Ruslan, weaponized empathy. That's what this is.
Right.
People are like, oh,
like it makes them feel better because they're not
impacted individual.
Because they're not calling them criminals. They're not calling them an offender. They're calling them a justice impacted individual, which doesn't change anything.
Right.
Other than the fact that it might make them feel better that they're able to call them that.
Right. It's nice. It's more a kind term. The criminal doesn't care. I'm convinced the criminal could care less what you call him.
Some might, because like, hey, if you made a mistake and you did something and you're not like a career criminal, you've done something and you're going to be now classified as a felon your entire life.
Okay.
That would be, you have to own it, right? But that doesn't make you a criminal for the rest of your life. I don't know. It doesn't change if you're called justice impacted individual.
These are legal terms. This isn't something like like let's say you have a guy who commits a felony and one felony and he's done and he turns his life around. Like people out in the public aren't calling him a criminal.
Right.
Like most people don't even know
or care.
But if you're appearing in court, if a criminal is appearing in court, they aren't going to care what you call them. The only thing they care about is, what's my sentence? Can I get away with this? How long do I have to serve? Those.
So you're saying the way that they would be addressed in front of a jury or addressed in front of like court document. Yeah, it's super weird.
This is
so they don't care. They don't want the public to start calling them that. Like, you're not going to get in trouble for whoever's in Illinois. Do you call him a offender or a criminal, or
I don't
you have to
know.
use this
They
term,
are
or-
criminalizing, they're trying to change how you refer to people, like pronouns and all this terminology. So maybe it will be criminalized at some point. But what I'm saying is, for this, it's just legalese. Like,
yeah, like they changed pervert to minor attracted individual,
right.
right?
Or a instead of pedophile,
Pedophile
minor
or pervert,
attracted
minor attracted
person
or individual.
people. Map.
Map.
I just,
It's wild, man.
why do we have to water down the terms and make it friendlier? When we're talking about something done, evil done, why do we have to like soften the evil and try to make it friendlier and more gentle and more kind? I don't know. Do you think they made it individual on purpose? Why didn't they do justice impacted person? Do you think that was on purpose? Individual
versus person?
Yeah.
Probably because they're, I don't know.
I guess they wanted to say, I mean, I don't know. What if someone identifies as a cat? I don't know. I think there's probably a reason they did individual. But here's a quote from the article, and this was out of CWB Chicago, one of my favorite follows on X. It said, Illinois legislators are also pushing a bill that would change the crime known as armed habitual criminal. This is so crazy. So you have someone who has been labeled an armed habitual criminal, which is a bad guy, a real bad guy. An armed habitual criminal is someone who has committed multiple crimes while he's armed. They want to change that to persistent, unlawful possession of a weapon. It's the dumbest stuff ever.
Dude, this is hard to listen to.
Persistent, unlawful possession of a weapon. Which,
why? There's no difference. It's just rephrasing the same thing.
But it sounds nicer. You don't have armed.
It doesn't sound any nicer.
You don't have armed in there. You don't have criminal. It's just it's just a persistent, unlawful possession of a weapon. Like, it's softer, it's kinder, it's gentler. He's persistent. He's persistent in unlawful things, but that doesn't make him a habitual or armed criminal. Like, in fact, he's showing persistence.
Right.
He has drive.
Right. He has drive to be committing crimes while armed.
We're trying to find the positive in how he's victimizing people.
This is literally a think group, just spending time, which is probably government funded,
right?
Coming up with different terms to kind of soften everything, soften the criminal.
It's interesting.
It's special.
It's interesting. Here we have also out of Chicago and from CWB Chicago. Do you remember? I don't remember how long ago this was. I don't know if this was in 23 or 22, but the woman who was completely naked, cops go to like a shots fired call or something like that. And this woman who's completely naked ends up stealing a cruiser at the call, nearly runs a police officer over. They charged her with, charged her with attempted homicide. I
do remember that.
The cop went to the hospital. He racked his head on another car or something like that and had some serious injuries. They charged her with attempted murder and carjacking. Okay. Just recently, she was found not guilty due to insanity. So okay. All right. Maybe she is insane. They found her not guilty based on her insanity in the moment.
So it was a month long trial-ish with a bunch of continuances.
Okay. All right.
Which is interesting. A month-long trial for something that's on video.
It's on video. And this is something, where this woman was found not guilty on all counts. She was found not guilty on all counts when there was literally video evidence. And they're saying the reason for that was that she was insane in the moment that it happened.
Okay.
Here is what is actually insane about this story.
What's actually insane
is that she was employed after this incident. She was employed and hired to be the lead accountant for Chicago's Department of Family and Support Services.
Wow. Dude, that's a quick turn of events right there.
Like, how?
Well, she was insane in the moment. She had a temper tantrum and she made a mistake we should soften that and let her continue to be a vital member of society.
Yeah.
No
As a
consequence.
justice impacted individual,
Yes.
she still needs a job. She needs to work, which I get. But it just seems odd to me that someone who is facing attempted murder and carjacking charges would then be given a job with the city. And it's lead accountant. And I love that it's Department of Family and Support Services. Like this woman should not be involved in any department.
Yeah. Dude, after she took the officer's car, almost ran him over, nearly killing him.
Right.
She drives to a gas station, goes into the gas station, comes out of the gas station, gets in the car again, and she drives again. So she's doing things, right?
Yes.
It's not just this moment in time where she ran over the cop and then it all ended. No. She went to a gas station. She, went inside. She comes back out. She's weaving in and out of traffic, going 97 miles an hour, was going 76 miles an hour when she exited. She struck 5 occupied cars, got out, ran down the block until cops finally arrested her. So this isn't like a short burst of insanity,
Right.
right? Like she threw a fit.
I wonder how long this
She was
incident
on a
was from the
rampage.
beginning to. Yeah, she
was a
on
rampage.
Yeah, it was a rampage. So I will say this: she did lose her job earlier this year after it was publicly revealed that the city had hired someone to be an accountant while they were waiting trial for allegedly trying to kill a Chicago police officer. But that shouldn't have the someone bringing this to light should have not caused her to be fired. Like whoever hired her, this should have not been a secret to them.
Yeah, I mean, but how would they know? I mean, I would do it. You got to do a little bit of a background, but
Like if you're hiring someone to be the lead accountant of a part of the city government, okay, a service of the city government, not just an accountant, but a lead accountant, okay, you would think they would pull the records that are open to the public. I'm assuming Illinois is like this, just like Pennsylvania, where you can go in, you can search someone, any person can search someone and find out if they are facing any type of criminal
it's
charges.
public search.
It's a public search.
Easy, yeah.
You would think that they would do that.
I mean, they should.
I can't, I guess I'm trying to picture the conversation behind closed doors between the people who are hiring this person. There's no way they didn't know. I just can't, I don't want to believe that the people
I don't want to believe it.
that hired her
Head in the sand, Anthony.
I don't want to believe that the people that were hiring her didn't know that she had this trial, that she was awaiting trial for this.
Right.
I don't want to believe that they had no idea about this. So, and I would assume that they're smart enough to realize this. So I would love to know the conversation behind closed doors. Hey, we have a CPA. We have a lady who's applied for the job, a lead accountant. She did very well in her interview. We just have one concern. It's just a minor concern. She is a justice impacted individual and she is currently awaiting trial for attempted murder and carjacking. So just, some concern about hiring her. And then Big Boss Man goes like, nah, let's just give her a chance.
Right. She's not a persistent, armed, whatever.
Yeah, she's not a persistently armed individual. Oh, no, not armed. Persistently
possessing. Yeah, it was
persistent. She's not been persistently unlawfully possessing a weapon. So let's give her a chance.
Well,
I say we give her a chance. So the good thing is that when this came to light and it was publicized, they were like, okay, maybe this wasn't a great idea that we hired her.
And here's my thing. The people who hired her, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Do the right thing.
For sure.
Do the right thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But whatever. That's a sad story too. I hope she got the mental health that she needed, the treatment she needed for her insanity.
And for sure, we weren't there for the trial.
Yeah.
Maybe she is
Had
insane.
One little episode of insanity. And got hired as a lead accountant.
It's hard for me to believe that you just have that level of insanity just one time and then you are also a lead accountant.
At a convenient time.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's very
convenient to be insane while you're committing a crime.
Right. I am of sound mind and body. I can do your taxes for you. I can do all types of financial things for you. But I did this one thing wrong, and I was just insane during that period.
Yeah, I don't know what came over me.
Yeah. Crazy.
But
I wonder if
so does that make her no longer a justice impacted individual because she was found not guilty, which means she's no longer a justice impacted person.
Yeah.
Back to real citizenry.
I'd love to know what type of criminal history she has, if any. Like,
Right.
if was this just like a one-time event? Actually, if it's a one-time event, I would actually have a easier time digesting the fact that this insanity thing, like if it was just a one-time thing. But if you would pull her criminal history and see, oh, she's been convicted, charged, like with all these things, then a lot more questions about this insanity ruling. But yeah. All right, next one. A victim of vehicle theft is facing reckless driving charges for chasing down his own stolen vehicle. This happened in Pierce County, Washington. I was on yahoo.com.
Is that Washington State?
Yeah, Washington State. So basically the way I understand it, this guy owns a car dealership with his father, and some dude just walks on their dealership and steals a vehicle in broad daylight.
Okay.
All right.
Crushes a car driving out of the...
Crushes a car. Well, actually, and this guy, the victim, pulled a gun on the thief, tried to get him to stop in the parking lot. He hesitated and then just went for it, ran into a car and took off. And deputies in Pierce County get in a pursuit with this guy, and they call it off because it's too dangerous.
Are they on highways or like?
I have no idea.
Okay.
They called it off because it was too dangerous due to the speeds and time of day and all the 400 things that you have to like check mark off your mind while you're in a pursuit. They call it off. So this victim, his last name's Babcock, does not. He's actively trying to get his vehicle back, and he actually pursues this suspect,
the lawbreaker. So he pursues the lawbreaker.
Right.
Law enforcement fails to pursue the lawbreaker. Okay.
So he pursues, and long story short, they finally do end up catching up with this guy. And let me backtrack. Babcock, the victim, actually ends up catching up with this guy, holds him at gunpoint until Pierce County deputies get there.
Okay. I like it.
And take him into custody. Okay. So they charge this guy with a laundry list of counts.
The thief.
Yeah. They charge him with a laundry list of things. Okay. Multiple counts. He is not found guilty on all those counts. In fact, the DA's office there ends up striking a ton of the counts and charges him with like one or two things. Okay. So before it even gets to trial, the district attorney is knocking counts off of this. They then turn around and they charge Babcock with a misdemeanor, reckless driving, for engaging in pursuing this lawbreaker, this thief.
Wow. They almost have to now, though. I don't think it's right. They have to.
Why do you say that?
Because they're not allowed to pursue. How can a regular citizen pursue and drive reckless?
But I understand what you're saying, and I had that.
I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying.
I understand what you're saying, and I had the same thought. Like, he did, by pursuing,
drive reckless
and put other people in danger. I guess this is what happens when you don't allow law enforcement to do their job.
That's exactly
you
right.
increase the desire for vigilantes because people,
if they can't trust law enforcement to do their job, somebody has to do it, right? Because it's intrinsic. It's inside all of us for justice, right? For the lawbreaker to be pursued, and those who are like regular citizens to be treated, to be rewarded, right? The same thing we say all of the time. If law enforcement, those who are paid and get to do that job, are cut off from being able to do the job, someone else is going to do it.
Right.
Someone's going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And he did. And I think too, I mean, he's a victim of a crime, and it's not, people are like, oh, he just stole a truck. You know, he's just a justice impacted individual that needed a truck. But that affects that business.
Yep.
That causes a huge loss of money. That causes their insurance premiums to go up. It has such a high impact on the victim, and we're obsessed with the impact on the lawbreaker.
You can't take something that doesn't belong to you.
Right.
You cannot do it. It's not yours. Don't take it.
Right. So I guess I wish they wouldn't have charged him with reckless driving.
100%
The misdemeanor.
agree.
I mean, I get it. I get like, hey, we're not allowed to pursue. And this guy had a great attitude about it. Much better attitude about it than I would have. Babcock, this is a quote from the yahoo.com article I read on this. Babcock, the victim, said he does not blame law enforcement for the outcome or his charge. However, he and his father put the blame on lawmakers. He quote said, no police officer, they don't become law enforcement to not want to do their job. They want to enforce the laws. They want to help the community. It's frustrating for them, I understand, to not be able to do that, said Babcock.
Yeah. He's not taking it out on the officers.
Right.
He's taking it out on either their leadership or the lawmakers.
Right. Right. And I thought that was like real stand up, and that he wasn't even blaming law enforcement for being charged. Like he got it. Like, yeah, I was reckless. Like,
yeah,
but I'm trying to get my property back. This is my business. You know, this affects my business. And yeah. And again, it goes back to this whole pursuit thing.
Yeah.
It really goes
and
back.
In reality, he should think about like suing. Like, I'm not a big suer, right? Like, that's not like my thing.
Right.
But like in reality, he should sue the local government because they failed to do their jobs.
Correct.
You failed to do your job. You failed to protect me. You failed in all of these ways. I had to do it myself, and now I got charged criminally. Like, I was hurt in some way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I just think it's a bad look. It's bad optics to have a victim of a crime charged for trying to defend his property, get his property back, help, you know, going after an offender. I just think it's bad look. Like,
yeah,
especially when you like,
it's embarrassing.
You drop all these counts against the actual bad guy.
But maybe they didn't fit. Like, we didn't really dive into that, but maybe they didn't fit. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if they just threw the book, I don't know. I'm trying to think the best of people, and I shouldn't. Yeah. At this point in my life, I probably shouldn't think the best.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just this is the problem with the insane no pursuit policies that jurisdictions have. Like, I get it. They're super, super dangerous. Super dangerous. I get that. But when you start telling officers you may not pursue, I mean, the question is that increasing the chances of criminals stopping or increasing the chances of a criminal fleeing? And we all know the answer to that.
Yeah. Like
every bad actor out there right now knows that, generally speaking, if they take off on the police in a vehicle, they can do as they please, and they just need to be crazy enough that it'll get called off.
Especially if you're in a motorcycle.
Correct.
You know, a motorcycle, moped, one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Forget about it.
No way.
So
what was my thought here, Anthony? Someone should come up with, like, we should come up with a reason or a way to end a pursuit, like, as quickly as possible. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I don't know what that looks like, but if someone out there is super smart, like, if you can come up with a way to end a pursuit quickly, you would make a lot of money.
There is something out there that I recently saw.
Like, you could shoot it at it and it wraps around the tires,
it's
right?
Like attached to the front of a cruiser.
Yeah.
But you still, here's the thing with stuff like that, you still need to pursue.
Right, because you got to get into a
you still have to pursue and get into an advantageous position and fire this thing from the front bumper of the car,
which is super
and
cool.
It wraps up the wheels and locks up the wheels. It basically just like wraps around the axle and wraps up the wheels. It's quite the concept, you know. And I think there are departments out there that have it and are using it. It's not super popular yet, I don't think.
Right,
but you still have to pursue in order to do something like that, to use something like that. And I just think I understand the spirit behind it and the danger to the public, and I abide by the policies I'm under.
Yeah.
But it's not helping the victim. It's only emboldening and helping the criminal. And then the other thing, and I've brought this up before, is once you catch that criminal who decides to flee the police, like, I literally think you make a mandatory 5 years state prison if you flee, 10 years if you have any contraband in the car with you. Make that just mandatory starting, or make it mandatory 10 years and 15. That would cause guys to
think twice
about it, because, okay, I'm going to flee and maybe they're not going to chase me, but if they figure out who I am, I'm done. Like, I'm going away for like 15 years.
Yep. I agree. Like, if you make the punishment, all right, you have to make a decision. You're going to go with what you want, right? If there are consequences to stop you from doing what you actually want to do, you're going to choose to not do that thing.
Right.
Right. If the consequences outweigh your bad choice,
sure,
you're going to choose to not do the bad choice you're about to make. But
so
especially if you start crushing people, the first five justice impacted individuals,
right?
Like, that's going to send a message. And not that, like, these criminals are not looking, they're not really watching the news, I don't think, but word gets out. You know what I mean? Like, word gets out that, like, hey, they're crushing this. Like, when the Mandos for, like, dealing in a drug area, when that was like a thing in Pennsylvania, a lot of guys would talk about it and move out of that area.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just not sell in that area.
Right.
Which worked, right? Because you're going to jail for 5 years if you sell one bag of weed to somebody.
Right.
This is back in the day, but
yeah. But mandatory minimums.
Dude, good on Babcock for
I do like his attitude
for not bashing the officer, but making a point that somebody has to make better decisions. Lawmakers have to make better decisions.
And think about that. Here's a guy who is literally just trying to protect his property, protect his business. He gets charged, and he actually says, I don't hold that against them for charging me. I get it. Take that response to the charge and compare that to these habitual criminals, these criminals who are out there doing things like that. It's like night and day.
Yeah.
I personally, I mean, if I don't know who made the decision to charge Babcock. I
couldn't sign that affidavit.
I couldn't sign it.
I wouldn't sign it.
I couldn't sign it.
I'm on like, you're going to find somebody else to charge him.
Right. I'm not charging him. But
like, did he cause any accidents? Like, did anything actually happen?
It doesn't sound like he did.
Right. So nothing, like, I know he created like a dangerous environment, but
he didn't create it.
Yeah.
The bad guy did.
But they're saying he did because he's the one who chose to drive. Like, he didn't have to, he chose to. So, like,
but I think we're so off base putting responsibility for stuff like this on the people who are having to make the decisions in response to the actual bad act and decision. So the criminal caused this.
Yeah, for sure.
The thief caused this.
Yeah.
I understand he chased him and he made decisions during that chase, but those decisions were a response to a criminal act, a bad act. Like, why are we charging Babcock? Why aren't we saying charge the bad guy completely with everything? Charge him for the violations the victim made to try to get him to stop.
There you go. Yeah, his action caused Babcock to drive reckless. You get an extra reckless
driving.
Yeah, you get a reckless driving.
Yeah.
And a stop sign violation for him.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that.
All the pressure on the criminal. Like, why are we putting pressure on law-abiding citizens who are just trying to protect themselves? Why are we putting all the pressure on law enforcement officers who are tasked with going after criminals? Why is the pressure on them?
Right.
That the pressure shouldn't be on them. If you have a bad guy take off on you and flee from you, the pressure shouldn't be on you for any bad thing that happens after that.
Right.
The pressure should be on the bad guy, the bad actor, the person making the criminal decisions that are forcing you to respond to that.
Right.
You wouldn't be driving this way or or using your emergency lights and sirens to go after had the bad actor not done what they're doing.
Yeah. So take this. So an example would be you're chasing a bad guy and the officer hits a pedestrian.
Right.
The pedestrian dies. You're saying the driver of the bad guy's car is charged with murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, Anthony. Why don't we hit up our legislators and see what happens?
There's no reason that, but all that pressure, all that liability is on the officer, is on the department.
In reality, it is. We're saying it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You know, that the full pressure of, I don't know. It's wild to me, but I know I just feel a little different about pursuits than you do.
Yeah.
So anyways, the last one here.
That was real condescending, and I'm not okay with that. I'm going to pause here for a second. You literally, like...
It was like a drive-by. I just made a statement and then drove on.
Yeah.
But you do have a slightly different view on it than I do.
I do, because I don't think it's worth having someone get killed chasing a bad guy, especially because there are zero consequences for that bad guy for what he causes the officer, for what happens because of what the officer's doing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
So like, because that officer's done and it's not worth it for that officer for sure. And for his family, that officer is completely done. If he chases a bad guy and he kills someone, a pedestrian, he's done. And to me, that's not worth it for that officer or for his family. It's just not worth it.
I totally,
because we live in a society that doesn't, and lawmaking society that it does not like view this as you and I do. That's what I'm saying. If circumstances are different and that officer is going to be protected and that bad guy is actually going to get crushed for what he's done, I can jump on board. I'm just saying it's not worth it in the real world. It's just not worth it.
But and I hear what you're saying. I just think we are obsessed with safety in this country. We're obsessed with safety.
No, we live in reality, Anthony. That's what I'm saying. If you chase somebody and you violate the policy and you kill somebody, you are done, and you and your family are done. And I don't want to see that happen. That's why I'm against it.
I hear you.
If you were backed up because of this, I'm okay with it.
But you would still agree that you don't want. I guess what I'm saying is,
I want to chase the bad guy as hard and as fast as we possibly can.
Right.
That's period. End.
Right.
The problem is we live in a world where you can't, because you will lose your family, because you'll be put in jail.
Right.
And scrutinized, and your family will not even be able, like, they're just going to get crushed on social media everywhere.
Right.
So it's not possible in the reality that we live in. You can't. So and like,
I agree. I understand that. I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that's the wrong reality, and which you agree with, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
So don't slap me and walk away.
A drive-by slapping.
I liked it. I did like it though.
Yeah.
Police should be able to pursue the lawbreaker as hard and as fast as is reasonable and necessary to stop them.
And what I'm saying is the reason it's not like that right now, the reality that you just described, the reason it's not like that right now is because our culture is obsessed with safety. Like the bottom line is that every time the police act, something bad could happen to someone else in the environment that's happening at. Like
correct.
I could, I get in a foot pursuit with a bad guy, and I end up,
he trips and hits his head.
Right. Or I end up running over a little kid during the foot pursuit. Like you cannot mitigate all safety hazards within an environment where it's rapidly changing, very violent. It's just like,
caused by a criminal.
We have to decide. Like, as
a society, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
That we're willing to take some more risks and let unhandcuff the officers.
Right. And for sure,
it's not going to happen, Anthony.
I know. For sure, I don't want to see any innocent people, people that are witnessing or seeing or around when something like this happens. Of course, I don't want anyone injured or hurt, but that's also not reality. That's not reality.
Right.
And
it's not, most of the time, not the officer's fault.
Correct. Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Sometimes it is.
For sure.
But yeah.
And they should be held accountable.
So, all right.
Dude, that was a good one.
Last one. Staged robberies of illegals to get visas reserved for legitimate victims. So this is also out of CWB Chicago.
This one's wild.
So what?
Do you believe this one?
Yes.
Really?
You don't think this happened?
I do.
The federal government is charging these people.
Okay.
That's what the article said.
All right, keep going.
So basically there is something called a U visa. So I'll just read this quote.
Like the letter U.
Yeah, from the article. It says after the robberies, U visa, that is an immigration status reserved for victims of certain crimes who have suffered mental or physical abuse and are helpful to law enforcement or government officials in investigation or prosecution. That's how it's described. So, first of all, what do you think about a U visa? I actually have heard of this before. I wouldn't have remembered that it was called a U visa. But so, in other words, if you're here on illegally, but you end up being the victim of a crime, you suffer mental or physical abuse, and then are helpful to law enforcement to bring charge in that crime, you can submit, a request for this U visa. And what it does is it may qualify you then for permanent residency. It's like a special status because, yes, we understand you are not here legally. You are an illegal immigrant, but you have now, excuse me.
You're right, buddy.
But now you have, been the victim of a crime, suffered, and you've been helpful to law enforcement to bring charges against that offender, that criminal.
That justice impacted individual.
Offender. So then this now allows you to maybe get permanent residency.
I like it.
You do like it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't have any strong feelings on it. I
don't have like I'm not like, yes, that's great.
Right.
Yes. Let's have all the illegals become robbery victims. Yes.
So
like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like, I think that's good. Like they're becoming part of society, which is what we want.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my struggle with it is you're
here illegally.
You are here illegally. So you're yourself are committing a crime. And then to get out of that, you are then being offered kind of like a clemency type thing, which I'm not saying it's a bad idea. The only reason I think it's a bad idea is because of these cases right now where people who have come here illegally understand that, hey, I can use this U visa to maybe get permanent residency here legally.
Yeah.
So what that caused,
tell the story. Yeah.
What happened is that these illegal immigrants started paying these fake robbery crews, also made up of illegal immigrants, I think, or maybe not, but they started paying these fake robbery crews thousands of dollars to come into businesses they were at either as
patrons.
As patrons. They're not even owners of the business. Hey, I'm going to be at this store.
They prearranged a time and a place to be robbed.
To be robbed.
By the people they're paying to rob them.
Right. So I'll give you $1,000 to come into this store at this time where I will be and rob me at gunpoint. Okay. And then what that's going to allow me to do is to request a U visa.
Right, because I'm going to cooperate with the police, tell them what happened.
Yes.
Except leave out the part that...
Right, where I paid you to do it. So what was happening in Chicago is they were having these like robberies by these robbery crews, and they started getting suspicious because these robbery crews were very well...
They were organized.
They were very well organized, and they were going in and their loot and what they was getting... I don't know how big these robbery crews were, but multiple robbers going into a store, doing like a takeover and not stealing anything of value from the store, but just robbing patrons of very small amounts of money.
Right.
And so the authorities, the law enforcement in Chicago, started getting very suspicious about this. Like, what this doesn't make any sense. You have a very organized robbery crew that is doing robberies at places of business, but not like robbing the place of business and actually getting large amounts of cash or taking expensive merchandise. They're just taking like a couple dollars here and there from these victims.
Right.
So I guess the federal government got involved and they started realizing that these quote unquote victims were going to their local police departments to secure documentation that they were victims of a crime. So in other words, these victims were reporting these robberies, and then they started realizing these quote unquote victims were then immediately going to the police department and requesting special documentation to then go get a U visa. I think I had someone do this before. I actually think I had a immigrant request something like this from me here in Pennsylvania one time. I do kind of remember that.
Interesting.
But they were
like a true victim.
I think it was like a true victim.
You're like, I'm no detective, right, but it seemed all right.
It seemed like a legitimate crime. But anyways, yeah, so they did this big investigation and they started like taking down these robbery crews and these victims. So that's like my problem with this U visa program.
Sure.
Is something like that is going to definitely be abused by people who are coming here illegally. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I mean, it's actually kind of a brilliant plan.
Yeah, for sure. And the police, so they wind up arresting like one or two of these robbers, and they were juveniles, and they're like, well, yeah, we'll talk to you. And they told them this whole scheme, and they wind up finding like the two guys who, one was in charge of the robbery. One was in charge of like the robbers.
Okay.
Right. Like he set them up. And then the other guy was in charge of like recruiting immigrants to be robbed. Like, hey, we can rob you. We just got to set up a date and time. You got to pay us a certain amount of money. And this is kind of how you do it. So like those were the two like main head guys.
Can you imagine that sales pitch?
Hey, Mr. Illegal. Actually,
first you'd have to like, what are you just like picking people out? I think that guy over there might be an illegal immigrant. I'm going to go up and strike up a conversation about his immigration status.
Right.
And then when you develop the fact that he's illegal, you're like, hey, hey, I got this idea for you.
Right. It's super funny.
It's like a sales pitch. They have like business cards.
Yeah.
So
a bunch of people were charged for this thing.
Right. Which is good. So they figured it out and ended up charging a bunch of people. And one of these robberies actually went really bad. There was one of them, because they were doing gunpoint robberies. One of them went bad, and they actually ended up shooting a store owner or something.
Yeah, which is weird because if you're doing a fake robbery, like why have one in the chamber?
But you see these videos of these guys, these criminals with guns, and they're like waving them all around, pointing them at each other's heads and stuff. Like it's crazy. Sometimes when I watch these like Facebook Live videos that you'll see put out there of these guys that have illegal guns and stuff, and they're like doing their videos and everything, I'm just like, I can't believe more of these guys don't die because they have their gun safety, like muzzle discipline. They don't even know what muzzle discipline is.
No,
it's like they're just pointing at people, pulling the trigger. I'm like, holy cow!
You're racking the slides, yeah.
So
it's wild.
But I guess I shouldn't be too hard on them because remember years ago that DEA agent?
Oh, I know
that was like what's like 90s, I think.
Yeah,
he's in a class. If you're listening, if you want to see a very cringeworthy video,
put it in the show notes.
I'll try to remember to put it in the show notes.
Right. You're not going to remember.
Probably not. But it's this DEA agent is in a classroom full of kids giving like a demonstration on gun safety. And he has guns up in front on the desk.
I mean, this is old school. This ain't happening anymore. No way.
This is never happening in this stage. I think this was in the 90s. And this DEA agent pulls a gun off the table. So he obviously had not cleared these or made them safe.
Who knows?
He ends up accidentally shooting himself in the leg.
And he's like, he lives, so we're not laughing at a dead guy. I mean, he might be dead now, but like he didn't die from his.
He didn't die from that. And right before he does it, he's like, "No one in this room can handle guns safely. I'm the only one that has been properly trained to handle these guns safely." And then he shoots himself in the leg, and then he like tries to carry on
as if nothing happened.
As if nothing happened. He's like, he puts his hand out. He's like, "I'm okay," because the kids scream and everything, and like. The teachers and stuff are like, holy cow. And he's like, I'm okay. And then he's like, here we have the,
like he tries to continue to go AR-15. On. Yeah.
He starts reaching for like a rifle on the desk and you hear kids. You hear kids in the back going, no, don't touch it.
That's a super funny video.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Google it. DEA agent shoots himself in a classroom or something like
The
that.
first time I saw it, I was like, this has to be fake.
No,
This
it's
can't be real. But
That poor guy, man.
I mean, can you imagine?
Oh, it's embarrassing.
He's probably not. I
He's
would
probably
imagine,
dead at this point.
I would imagine he was not a DEA agent after that.
No, probably not.
I don't know.
That's funny, dude.
So,
All right, we did it.
all right, we did
Hey,
the
give us,
smash up of X
Hey,
articles.
yep. Keep listening. We appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Give us an honest 5-star review. We'll take them all day, every day.
And here's the other thing. Our patrons right now, these episodes, our patrons get them almost immediately.
Yeah.
After we're
deserve
done,
it.
after
They
we're done
deserve
recording,
it.
they deserve it. They get it right
They're
away.
like unedited too. It's raw.
Unedited, no bells and whistles, but they get to listen to it before anyone else. And you can become a patron if you go to diakonosacc.com and look for the support tab. You can click a link. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month. $1 a
nothing.
month. Now, if you want to get early access to episodes or patron-only material, it is $5 a month. But at least $5 a month. But you get early access to all the episodes. And
Dude, you could give to us or you could donate to the Trump campaign and try to keep him out of jail. Which would you rather do?
there you go. There you go. Or you could donate to Illinois because they're going to need a lot of money to change all this
Justice
wording.
impacted individual.
I literally can't even remember it. I have
That's
to
my
keep
favorite
looking at it.
phrase. I can't remember the other one.
Persistent unlawful possession of a weapon.
Dude, we're coming up with that's a hard one. How would you? That's like a P.
Can you imagine being an attorney? Even a defense attorney.
It's a tongue twister.
Even a defense attorney. In open court, you have to remember to use the right term.
Oh yeah, the judge will scold you.
Well,
You're getting
you could get the
scolded.
case thrown out.
Oh man.
Mr. or Mrs. Lawyer, you did not use habitual or justice impacted individual. Sorry, mistrial.
Unreal, dude. Dude, what are we doing?
All right,
Anthony. Have a great day, dude.